All right, we're live.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Special Council Committee meeting on legislation, Monday, the 20th of July, 2020. Councilmember Farrelletto.
Here.
Councilmember Golombek.
Here.
Councilmember Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilmember Rivera.
Present.
Council President Pridgen.
Here.
Councilmember Wingo.
Present.
Councilmember Wyatt.
Here.
Mr. President. From the top,
From the top.
item number 1, special use permit, 172 Rhode Island for a tavern and restaurant in an N2R zone.
Motion to open the public hearing. Is it a public
Motion to
hearing?
open a public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Nowakowski. Do we have the applicant on the call? 172 Rhode Island?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
want to give the ground rules first before we go in so that
Yeah, so what we're going to do is
Hello.
for each
Correct.
item, we're going to have the person who submitted the application do a brief 3-minute summary of what their application is. Everyone on the council has been provided, obviously, with the agenda and the application. If you're not speaking, if you could keep your computer on mute until you're called. After your presentation, if there's any questions, the council members will follow up with that. We have received some comments for members of the public that are watching that may have some concerns, positive comments. We're asking you to contact your district council member. If it's not time sensitive, it may not get voted on by the council tomorrow. We have one more council meeting until our recess. So if this is time sensitive, I would certainly emphasize that when you're speaking, and then have a follow-up conversation with the council member whose district your project is in. So with that, we can start with item number 1.
Just want to say what it is.
Yes, hi. I'm guessing for 172.
Yes.
All right. Well, hi, good morning. My name is Sadie Mathers. I am applying for a special use permit for 172 Rhode Island Street. I'm the owner of Foibles Coffee and Pie, and I've had the dream to own and operate a cafe embedded in the neighborhood it serves, and the storefront at 172 Rhode Island Street is the perfect example. It sits between Fargo and West in a historic storefront that's been boarded up and used as storage since the 1950s, still filled with old West Side charm. From the original beadboard to the huge storefront windows and window seats, I knew it was the ideal location. Without the green code, it would still be a boarded up storage space, but with your help and approval, I would like to operate my pie shop from 172 Rhode Island Street and help restore walkability and charm to Buffalo's West Side. I've been thoughtful about the pricing of my pie and coffee because so many times I've seen cafes not be accessible during the day and eventually get a license to serve wine by the glass at night to make Foibles a cute date night spot. There's plenty of parking on the road. A lot of the neighbors have parking pads, and we plan to put a bike rack out front so that people can park their bikes. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from my neighbors who all offer to lend a hand when they can.
All right, it sounds like we're having some connection issues. Councilmember Rivera, I know this project is in your district. Did you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the applicants for their community engagement. And as she mentioned, there's
My next door neighbor, Kathy, has given me so much cooking equipment, and there are neighbors behind me that offered me a few of the pies. My old boss.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, all right, so we're moving to Council Member Majority Leader Rivera, whose district this is in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if she can hear me, but she has done a great job of engaging the community. As a matter of fact, there has been so much outpouring of support for this project that we're going to send it without recommendation and we'll vote on it again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to close public hearing.
Seconded by-
Council Chair, I just wanted to mention we did receive 14 submissions for public comment on this item. All 14 were in support, and we will file all of their comments at the next council meeting.
Thank you. Motion to
Thank you very
close
much.
public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Wyatt.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Council Member Noakowski.
Item number 2, special use permit 30 Amherst East for amusement facility indoor and tavern in an N2C zone.
Motion open public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Gullumbeck.
Mr. Chair, at this time, we're joined by Farrell Page representing the project.
It looks like I saw him on camera. It looks like he stepped away from, here he is.
Oh, it's my turn. I'm sorry. I had to go get something for my son. Sorry about that. All right. My project is Zone 1 Family Entertainment Complex located at 30 East Amherst in the city of Buffalo. We are creating a family entertainment center, which would feature skating, laser tag, bumper cars, a number of things, family orientated aspect. We are applying for the liquor license aspect as well, a part of the parents lounge area. We took about 2 years, give or take, to complete the project. And I think it's going to be something very vital for the family in the city of Buffalo. We do have a great security plan in place and would like to close early, not your normal place that would be open later. We believe that anything after 11:30, 12 o'clock, there's an issue for violence and so forth. So just doing our research, we think that our plan in place will be viable to have a family entertainment center in the city of Buffalo for many years to come.
Thank you very much. Council members, any questions?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Ferletto. Farrell Page has been diligent in his efforts to meet all the criteria that the community has expressed, areas of concern. He has provided for my office his plan of action, of which is a very comprehensive plan of action. He spared no expense with the equipment that he's using, even with the surveilling of the property as well as the security. He's done a phenomenal job with communicating with my office. He has really been the consummate individual that we would like to see bringing family-oriented projects into the community. And I believe this is going to be something that's going to uplift the spirit of the community, being that this is a family-oriented, entertainment complex. So again, I'm going to motion once the public hearing is closed, to please my colleagues just move to approve this for tomorrow. I know that we are not going to approve anything, but we've only gotten positive remarks from the community. If anyone has filed anything that I've not seen, then I'd like to entertain those now. But from what I understand, this should be a go-ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have are there any comments from the staff, Malcolm or Jim?
There were no public comments in this item. So.
Okay,
Motion to close public hearing.
seconded by Council Member Gullumbeck,
Motion to approve.
seconded by Council Member Wingo.
Item number 3, special use permit 2363 Delaware for a tavern in an N3E zone.
Motion open the public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing, seconded by Council Member Wyatt.
Mr. Chair, for this item, we are joined by Mr. Doug Hutter.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Doug Hutter with Zaxis Architectural. We're representing Mighty Taco today, and we're seeking your approval for a special use permit for the sale of beer and wine through an alcohol license. at this facility. In fact, Mighty Taco is moving forward with modifying their menus to include beer and wine at all their local Western New York facilities. The idea is the beer sale would be only within the dining room. It will not be sold through the takeout services or through drive-through windows. This facility does not have a patio, and they are not allowing the consumption of alcohol on any of their patios as well. So it's only within the dining room. This location has 88 seats, and they're open from 10 a.m. till midnight on Monday through Saturday, and 11 a.m. through midnight on Sunday with their dining room. There's 45 parking stalls on site, so there's sufficient for any increase they have here. And the main purpose they're looking to do this is to increase business within their facility. They find most of their product is sold through the drive-throughs, especially as of recent. But in general, 60 to 70% of their sales is through the drive-through services. What they have found is that their dining rooms are now underutilized. So they're hopeful that they can increase some business, and by doing so, perhaps add additional employees to each of their facilities as well to increase community engagement that way. All their employees will be trained in the sale of consumption and alcohol. As I'm sure you are aware, you have to be at least 18 years old to do the sales of alcohol. So no one under 18 will be placed in that position to do so. And they will be placing signage throughout the facility so that everyone knows that consumption is required to be within the dining room. Are there any questions for anybody?
I don't have any questions. It's interesting. This is like just probably about a mile down the street from the original Mighty Taco on Hurdle Avenue, which I vaguely remember going to as a child. My father took me there.
I have to say that I used to go to the second one that was opened on Seneca Street in South Buffalo in my youth. In fact, when they originally opened, the partners there sold beer through draft purposes. Now they're looking to sell only through cans and bottles. There will be no draft sales at their facilities.
Okay. Any questions from any of my colleagues? Okay, we could have a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Seconded by Councilmember Noakowski.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Councilmember Golombek. Next item.
Item number 4, special use permit, 6 Highgate for human services facility in an N3C zone.
Motion open the public hearing.
Motion open public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Wyatt.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and council members. My name is Larry Rubin. I'm here on behalf of Jewish Family Service. I'm past president and a board member, as well as representing them for this matter. Joining me today is Dr. Molly Carr, who is the executive director of Jewish Family Service. Our proposal is to take the former funeral home at Main and Highgate and to reopen it as a clinical offices for the Jewish Family Service Behavioral Health Program, which is primarily made up of counseling sessions run by clinical social workers, psychologists, and psychiatrists. It is a fairly low-key operation. It's currently operating along with other services out of 70 Barker Street, which is the second floor of Temple Beth Zion at at Barker and Delaware Avenues in the city of Buffalo. JFS has outgrown that space and wants to keep that location. And I'm also representing Temple Beth Zion and other matters, so I'm pretty familiar with it. And to move its these 10 to 15 persons to Main and Highgate, which will do a number of things. First of all, it will add to the services needed in that community and the local community for behavioral health services, which unfortunately is a growing need, and particularly with the pandemic, but in general overall. And I have provided additional information on the need in Erie County and the city of Buffalo for more mental health services. There'll only be 10 to 15 employees there, but that 10 to 15 employees there will be supporting the local businesses, eateries, and local retail. This is not an overnight facility. This is not a drug or alcohol service-related facility, and it's going to provide, as I said, a very important service needed in this community, as well as providing additional support for the neighborhood commercial district in the University Heights. We have reached out to the local community, and unfortunately we were supposed to make a presentation the day that everything shut down, but we did receive a lot of support in those discussions. There is some time sensitivity to this matter. We had begun this process a while ago and had expected that we'd be able to close by now due to the pandemic. We haven't been able to finish the special use permit process that we need, and we've had to put down an additional $5,000 non-refundable deposit in order to keep this property alive for conveyance to us. Happy to answer any questions, as well as Dr. Carr is available, although she's on mute.
Did Dr. Carr have any comments?
Unmute, Molly.
No, no additional comments.
Okay. I spoke to Mr. Rubin about this project, and it's a welcome project to the district. So we welcome the Jewish Family Services to the community. I don't believe I had any type of input from, or any negative input from the community. Did we get any emails, Chief of Staff?
No, sir, there were no comments for this item.
Okay, so we welcome them. I just have one question in regards, because you have 15 employees. Do each are going to have a need of parking?
No, well, there is parking on site, and the employees rotate in different shifts. Not everyone is working all the time. There's approximately 6 to 8 spaces on site, and we don't anticipate there to be any impact on the residential neighborhood.
Yeah, you've purchased a beautiful building inside and out, and it's been always well maintained. And we know the same thing will happen as you take over. So we appreciate you coming to the community and providing some very important services to the community. So we're going to send it without recommendation, just in case someone has seen this and want to send us a response. We can talk about it. But I think probably tomorrow will be approved. But I would just want to go through and give people an opportunity, if they have any type of comments, to email us that before we make a decision. But we'll send it without rec today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you both.
Motion to close public hearing.
Seconded by Councilmember Wyatt.
Motion to send without rec.
Seconded by Councilmember Golumback.
Item number 5, L. Rubin, supplemental information regarding special use permit at 6 Highgate.
Motion open public hearing.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
There is no public hearing, it's just supplemental info.
Items open.
Item is open. Is there anyone to speak on this?
No,
we just submitted additional information, and we were expecting you to receive and file the report.
Yeah, we receive and file.
Motion is to receive and file, seconded by Councilmember Wyatt.
Item number 6, special use permit 3242 Main Street for electronic message center sign in an N3C zone.
Motion open a public hearing.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Mr. Chair, this project on Main Street is represented by an L. Kasnika and also Paul Strata. I don't see them on, however, they may have joined us by phone.
It appears that James is trying to talk, but he's on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh.
Okay, I'm Paul Strata from NAS Sign Company. The James Dershio is my employee's laptop name, so appreciate the understanding that. So this representing the project, this was sent out public bid by the City of Buffalo Department of Public Works. We were the successful bidder. It is a double-sided blade sign. It's it's zoned in an N3C. We're allowed a blade sign. We're allowed internal illumination. We're allowed 35 square feet per establishment. We're allowed an EMC with a special use permit. So that brings us here. Again, it's a double-sided illuminated blade sign with an electronic message center. The overall size is 5 by 7, 35 square feet. The overall height is 12 feet to the bottom of the sign, 17 feet to the top. The total projection is 7 feet 8 inches, which again meets the code. And the sign approximately 20 feet from the curb. Regarding the special use request, the benefit to the applicant and the public, the community center needs identification. It needs to identify its presence and communicate and advertise to the community, students, families, and all the various groups, programs, functions, events, and dates. It'll be installed on the south wall at the east end, perpendicular to Main Street. So it'll be visible, from Main Street to passing traffic. It'll be lit from 5:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. The LED display will be a static image, so there's no change. It will be changing every 8 seconds, but there's no flashing or scrolling or animation. So there will not be any undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood nor detriment to nearby properties. The benefit sought cannot be achieved by any other means, as it would be impossible to maintain all the numerous messages needed to communicate to the public with the old-fashioned standard plastic sign with the old-style changeable letters. So this outweighs any negative impact. The request is not substantial, and it's the minimum required to make the project viable. The sign type, the height, the placement, the overall square foot are all the minimum required to allow proper advertising and communication with the community and the traffic. And the request will not have an adverse effect or negative impact on the character of the neighborhood, nor the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. And the land is not an environmentally sensitive area. So we request your approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is item we've been waiting for some time to go forward on it. Due to COVID, it was slowed up, but it's definitely what we need in this community to communicate things that are going on in the community center as well as the district. So I'm happy to support this item. I know that we have one comment. If I can just have the chief or deputy chief of staff read that comment.
Sure. So we have one comment in opposition for this item from Daniel Sack. Quote, top of Green Code page 9.4 does not allow such signs to be approved in this N3C zone as a special use permit. It would be the variance process that would be needed, end quote.
Thank you. This is something that's definitely needed in this district. As I stated, I've had a number of people who constantly ask what's going on in the community center. They don't see the information. So this will give us that opportunity to provide them that information. It's not flashing as the applicant stated. It's static information, and it's critical at this point during COVID to get information out to the public. So I'll await any additional comments, and we'll send without recommendation just in case someone has other comments. But at this point, I'm ecstatic about it because, again, right now it's critical to get information out to the community. And the sooner we can get this information, this sign up, the better. So if we can send this out without recommendation.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Before we close the public hearing, I think there was one additional comment from a James Rosansky. Does staff have a copy of that?
Just one moment, sir. We can pull that up.
Thank you.
I have it up if you want me to read it.
Yeah, if you could read that, that'd be great.
Okay. From James Rosansky. This application fails to meet the requirements for a special use permit and should be denied. A notice of denial should have been issued. The planning board was informed about the zoning violations and should not have recommended approval. The project requires a use variance and a number of area variances. Use variance 1, EMC is not allowed at 3242 Main Street, N3C. 2, a use variance is needed. 3, sign illumination, EMC is not allowed in N3C. 4, however, footnote 1A, civic use may install a sign with EMC in any zone except for N2R, N3R, N430, and 450, DOS, DOG, and DON zone with a special use permit. But no sign that displays EMC may be located within 200 feet of an N2R, N3R, N430, N450, DOS, DOG, DON, or CW zone. 3242 Main Street, a civic use is within 200 feet of an N3R zone. A special use permit does not supersede a use variance. Area variances. Each electronic message that is displayed must be static and depicted for a minimum of 5 minutes before changing. Applicant proposes static images only changing every 8 seconds. Minimum 8 seconds applies to off-premises signs. Maximum projection from wall includes supports is 5 feet from N3C in N3C. Proposed sign exceeds requirement. The proposed sign is focused toward a vehicle-oriented neighborhood rather than a pedestrian-oriented neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take that response up with Corporation Counsel to go through and make certain that we are in compliance. Thank you.
Motion to close public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Noakowski.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Council Member Wyatt.
Item number 7, zoning map amendment 12 Howard from N430 to an N3E zone.
Motion open to public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Wingo.
Mr. Chair, on this item, we are joined by Kevin Curry representing the project.
Yes, good morning, council members. Sean Hopkins, as well as Kevin Curry. We're here this morning on behalf of Kanaka Partners LLC, care of Dr. Greg Daniel. We're here in connection with a request to amend the zoning classification of 12 Howard Street from N430 to N3E. This rezoning is being requested in connection with the proposed mixed-use redevelopment of 3 contiguous parcels located at 299 Jefferson, 311 Jefferson, and 12 Howard. Many of you are familiar with that site. It is the former and currently vacant New York Telephone building. It's a 3-story building with a full basement. We're proposing an addition to that building, and the project that we are proposing is mixed use, consists of workforce housing, approximately 30 units, along with some first floor commercial space. Planning board did review this project during its meeting on June 1st and issued a positive recommendation by unanimous vote. The Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing during its meeting last Wednesday afternoon, and all the comments we received were favorable. It is important to note that we have been involved in community engagement, have received positive comments, and that secondly, because we filed the rezoning application in March of this year, and obviously as a result of the delay for COVID-19 pandemic, there is a timing constraint here. So this is a matter that we would ask the full Common Council give consideration to during its meeting tomorrow. We look forward to moving forward with this project. It's one of several that Dr. Greg Daniel has proposed in this area, and we want them all to come together. We think they'll have favorable outcomes for the city and its residents. Thank you.
Council President Pridgen.
Thank you, sir. And I know we just talked about Dr. Daniels and his project in the Fruit Belt. So obviously he is very engaged in these projects. I'm glad to hear about this being workforce housing. But just for the record, as you know, dates by the executive order, there is some waiving of dates because of COVID-19. So the reason we are sending these without recommendation, the majority of items, is so that we have the transparency that if somebody from the public may not have been aware of the project, because the public, obviously community meetings cannot be held, well, especially 2 months ago. So we'll send it without rec. It is not that I don't support the project. I just want to give people time, as much time as possible, to comment. Personally, I do support it, but I do want to make sure that the community knows that they have the time to speak about any item, including today and tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Item number 8, special use permit 55 Rhode Island for outdoor dining and an N2E zone.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Noakowski. There's someone here to speak on 55 Rhode Island.
Mr. Chair, this project is represented by Sandra Tejas. Her video is not on at the moment, but she is connected.
Someone is trying to speak. It looks like John L., but he's muted.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you
Yes,
hear
yes.
John? Okay. My name is John Lydon. I'm an architect, and my clients are Sandra DeJesus and Alfonso Emanuel. So I guess I'll be speaking today for them. Did you guys say you also have them on a phone if they need to speak directly? Is that accurate?
Yeah, they're here. Yeah, they're here.
Okay, so they might jump in when they choose. So what we have here, if you look at the pictures, is a former Can Redemption concrete block building of approximately 300 square feet. So we will be proposing a cafe, takeout cafe in that building. We will seat 6 people at a counter, but it'll mostly be a takeout style business. And it will be ethnic menu, Latino, Cuban fare. And like I said, it'll be mostly a takeout. There'll be soups and sandwiches. There won't be a full-blown kitchen with gas deep fryers or anything like that. It's kind of a soup and sandwich menu of a Latino style. The big part of this business model is the outdoor cafe. And it'll be a seasonal cafe. We will enhance the outdoors with pea gravel at grade and a new wood fence around the perimeter. And as you can see on the drawing, we'll also do a little work in beautifying the front with some plantings around the gate and a new gate and a new wood barrier on top of the existing block wall. We're looking to seat 30 people outside and 6 inside. We have sat a couple times with the City of Buffalo's Plan Review Office, so we seem to have all of the quote building code issues at hand. We're looking to start off with a lunch and dinner, and then move into breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The hours that I believe were granted or given at the planning board meeting will be from 7 until 9 at night. There's no alcohol here. There's no live bands. It's a simple cafe with outdoor seating. And I think at this point, I'll open it up for questions.
Colleagues, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, it received positive recommendation from the planning board. However, there were a couple of recommendations made. One was the landscaping and improving the outdoor dining. Can you explain what you're going to do with regards to those 2 recommendations?
Yeah, so the landscaping will be bushes in front of bushes, trees, arborvitae in front of the, on each side of the gate. The gate itself will receive wood slats as shown in the rendering. It'll probably be a cedar type wood stained. In the top of the existing block wall will have the same style cedar slats to provide more privacy for the interior patrons. And the entire perimeter of the seating area will have a new wood solid fence along with a pea gravel base and obviously all new furniture outdoors, and whether or not there's canopies, umbrellas above the tables will, I guess, be determined by the owner. So the intention is to pretty it up, make it nice, make it desirable. And yeah, so I think that those are kind of the beautification efforts that are scheduled.
Thank you very much. And as you mentioned, that was slated to be a bottle redemption location, which the neighbors were, opposition to. With regards to the neighbors, have we engaged the neighbors, especially the ones adjacent to the building?
I'm going to let the owner's operators comment on that if they can be heard.
With the neighbor. Oh. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yes. So we have spoke with a few of the neighbors. We have no issues. They were happy to see that a restaurant was coming to beautify the neighborhood, but so far there was no issues at all that we heard of.
All right, thank you.
You guys own the adjacent building, right, Sandra?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so they are the owners of the adjacent building, and they do have
the buildings adjacent to the properties that they own on either side of the properties that they don't own. Central staff, have we received any comments?
No comments for this item, sir.
Okay, all right. I'm in favor of the project, but we're going to send it without recommendations until tomorrow, giving an opportunity for other folks to comment on it. So the motion is now to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing, seconded by Council Member Noakowski.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Council Member Wyatt.
Item number 9, special use permit 1535 Hurdle for a tavern in an N3C zone.
Motion open the public hearing.
Motion open public hearing, seconded by Council Member Galunde. Mike Schatzel on the line to discuss.
Yes, I am.
Hey, Mike, if you can give us a brief summary of what you're planning to do at 1535 Hurdle.
Basically, what we're planning on doing is taking the blueprint, what we've done at Morpat out on Spring Street in Williamsville, which is a craft beer bar featuring top of the line beers from around the world, about 20 to 25 taps. And basically what we get there is a crowd from 30 to 55. Hours are not too late, usually closing around, probably at the latest around 1 a.m. on the weekends, and weekdays around 11 p.m., give or take, depending on what we have, the crowd. We've brought in a chef from Wegmans that's been there about 15 years. He's going to run like a gourmet sandwich program. We're going to do hand-cut fries in duck fat like I used to do at Blue Monk. And then we're also, Morpat is known for great chicken wings, so we'll also be featuring chicken wings.
Okay, and you're doing a patio, correct?
Our hope is to kind of do a wraparound patio similar to what I guess what Sterling has down the street around the corner.
Okay, so have you presented to the planning board yet?
This is my second Zoom meeting. We had one a couple of months ago. Everything kind of blends into each other, so I'm not sure exactly what that one was.
Okay, so every patio on Hurdle has the same conditions on it. There's no speakers outdoors, and the patio has to close at, I believe it's 10 o'clock during the week and 11 on the weekend, or it's 10 and 12. Either way, I will give you we'll have some communication on that later just to make sure, but it's the exact same for every single one on Hurdle. So it doesn't deviate. So those will be the conditions on the patio. And staff, did we have any comments?
There were 3 public comments. All 3 of them had an undecided stance. Did you want me to read them out, Councilmember?
If you could share those with the committee, I think that would be very helpful. If you could email everyone on the committee copies of those, that would help.
Sure, and we'll file all of the public comments at tomorrow's council meeting as well for public review.
Okay, thank you.
And in terms of the patio requirements on Hurdle, we are 100% going to follow whatever, the ordinance is.
Okay, excellent.
Motion to close public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Nowakowski,
Motion to send without recommendation.
seconded by Council Member Wyatt.
Item number 10, special use permit 177 military for auto repair in an N2C zone.
Motion to open a public hearing.
Seconded by Council Member Golumback.
Mr. Chair, we're joined by Jassam Al-Mohammadi, and he is connected and ready with audio.
Okay, is someone here to speak on this item?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Jassim Al Mohammadi. I try open my car dealership and mechanic shop in my own property and help my kids because they grow up.
We're just here asking for permission to
Please speak for me.
so you guys let us open this car dealership. We're trying to invest in society and help others purchase cheaper cars. And as a college student, I know some students, they cannot afford cars and to go back and forth to colleges and stuff. So we're trying to put cars back into the road, and sell them for a cheaper price. We are asking for permission to, for that process to be complete.
Okay, colleagues, any questions? Councilmember Golumback.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have a brief opportunity to meet with the applicant. Since that time, however, I have received 2 or 3 emails and about 5 or 6 phone calls with strong concerns about this project. As a matter of fact, I think each of the emails was asking for us to deny the project, and I'm not at this point prepared to do that. What I would like to do is have a community meeting. Unfortunately, we would have done this months ago, except for all of us. We're having the problem with the COVID and community meetings and things like that that are not able to be scheduled. But I'm going to try to do something within the next month because the option right now is to simply deny this. And I don't think that I don't want to do that as of right now without having the applicant have an opportunity to talk to the residents and explain what it is that they're trying to do over there. There's some concern about, how much space there is there, that it's going to overlap into the community parking lot that's at the corner. But I'm going to ask at this point that the item be sent back to committee. I will work with the applicant to put together some sort of a community meeting. The problem is that many of the residents that live in that immediate area are not necessarily technologically savvy. And, they've asked me they didn't even know what things like Zoom were. And they requested to have, when I spoke to them, they said that they would prefer to have some sort of a socially distant community meeting, and the recommendation was to possibly meet on site so that we could be outside and we'd be able to be 10 feet away from one another and still within shouting distance of one another.
Motion Motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Gullumbeck.
Motion to send to committee?
Motion is to send to committee, seconded by Councilmember Wyatt. And Councilmember Gullumbeck has the floor.
Yeah, thank you. I'll have somebody from my staff get in touch with the individuals that from 177. Also, I have a generic comment that I wanted to make at this point. I've received some calls from people that are concerned about our public hearings that we've been holding, and about whether they would hold up to muster if we were challenged legally. In particular, Paul Wolf from the Coalition for Open Government, while he gave the city of Buffalo and the Common Council a passing grade, not he personally, but his organization, there was some concern over not allowing the public to speak, whether it be by video or whether it be by telephone. And there was some concern by the Coalition for Open Government and others that, just simply sending in text messages and having them read into the record what did not fulfill Governor Cuomo's executive order, I believe it was, that said that we would be allowed to have we would be allowed to have these types of meetings on air. But, so I have some questions about that. I wanted to voice that concern and the concern that people had, and perhaps there was somebody from the law department that could address that.
Good morning. This is Assistant Corporation Counsel Karen Gordon. To the best of my knowledge, I believe the city of Buffalo has tried extremely well to ensure that public hearings and public meetings met the standards pursuant to several of Governor Cuomo's executive orders. If there is something specific that this individual is concerned about and would like to share, we can look closer into it. But at this moment, I believe that we did very much everything according to the best of our ability, given the situation under, the executive orders. So if there's something specific, as I said, you can send it to us and our office would look into it. But at this moment, I do not think there's any need for concerns.
I'd also like to add that I brought the same concerns up. The same individual that emailed me likely emailed you as well, Joe, that you're referring to. And I ran that by Corporation Counsel. I brought up those concerns. I was assured by Corporation Counsel that everything we were doing is compliant. However, if someone had concerns, as the chair of this committee, I would gladly have a special session at any time during the month of August to have public hearing, and we can all go into council chambers instead of taking a recess. If anyone wants to have special hearings during the month of August, I am absolutely open to doing that in chambers where anyone could speak. Next item.
Item number 11. Special use permit 37 Redmond for non-owner occupied short-term rental in an N3R zone.
Motion, open the public hearing?
Hi, yes, this is John Spitz. I own 37 Redmond. I have since 2012. I lived there until 2018 and did traditional rentals until March of 2018, when I then started to do short-term rentals and Airbnbs. We've hosted guests from all over the country, all over the globe, I should say, who are primarily coming to see Niagara Falls. We recommend them. We actually send them a guide that recommends them to a bunch of local businesses, primarily in the Hurdle area, but all throughout Buffalo. I employ a cleaner. I like the short-term rental business because it allows me to keep eyes on the property. Every couple of days, there's a turnover, so we can go in, check, make sure everything's running to accordance of what we believe it should be. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those. I think we're one of the first permits here. We just wanted to follow all the guidelines that have been given from the city.
Did we, to staff, have we received any comments on this?
There was one comment. They have a stance of undecided. Did you want me to read it out?
If you could, please.
Okay, it's from Judith Rosenbaum of 31 Redmond Avenue. quote, "I do not have any objection to the short-term rental status, but I do have objection to the non-owner occupied status of the permit. I live next door to the subject property and the garbage cans are sometimes left on the street for 4 to 5 days after pickup. Our garbage is picked up on Friday and the cans at 37 Redmont have been left out until Tuesday. This is unacceptable. Most of the homes on the street are owner occupied. Some are long-term rentals. We live on a lovely street and do not want the appearance of a neglected property. The grass has been left uncut on occasion. While the owner of 37 Redmond was living at the property, he expressed to me on many occasions that he hopes the properties stay owner occupied so they don't turn into properties that are not cared for and look terrible. I would ask him to remember his own words. Also, many of the vehicles that the short-term renters have are sometimes parked on the street facing the wrong direction. I understand that most are from out of town, but they should be made aware of the parking rules even though they are posted. On a side note, many of the license plates on the cars are from states on the quarantine list. This may be because they are rental cars and just happen to have those license plates. I would hope this was the case." End quote.
Okay, so just a couple items that I'd like to bring up on that. Since the owner's on the phone, do you have someone that takes the garbage and recycling totes back for you, or is that something that you drive back to the property and do?
It's generally my cleaner or myself. I was just at the property yesterday, mowing the lawn and all that stuff. So, but that's something that, I will be more aware of now. I didn't know that was an issue. Even guests bring the bins in, frankly. So that's knowledge to me that I'm now aware of. So I apologize to Judy on that.
And that's not, Judy's being nice because some people will contact the inspectors and try to get a fine to the property owner the following day if they're not picked up. So I think it's certainly very reasonable that it's being addressed in this format.
Absolutely.
To have it get resolved instead of seeking fines. And any other questions from any colleagues? Okay, any other public comments besides that?
That was just the one, sir.
Okay, then we
Motion.
will
Close the public hearing.
motion to close public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Noakowski,
Motion to send without recommendation.
seconded by Councilmember Wyatt.
Item number 12, special use permit 393 Richmond for non-owner occupied short-term rental.
Motion open the public hearing.
Good morning, everybody. It's David Iwanu speaking on behalf of the GAD 700 LLC of military. It's a family-owned business. My dad and I own it. And if you're familiar with some of the properties that we own, we take extremely good care of our properties. We're just offering a short-term rental. No shorter than 4 nights you can stay there, and the max you can stay there is 3 weeks. So it deters anybody from throwing a party or staying long-term. We have landscapers there every week for mowing and trimming the hedges. And we have a cleaning staff that also comes through every day once a tenant or a person who stayed there leaves. I live around the corner, so I'm always there at the property making sure everything's taken care of. And we try to keep it in thoughtful pricing for larger families to come visit Buffalo. And if we know they're, having multiple guests there and they're wondering about food and everything, we try to share local businesses. And we actually have like a little pamphlet inside of where they can go in the Elmwood Village to get food, vegan options, the co-op, the craft beer store, just so they know where to go and they can service small businesses in the area.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Council staff, have we received any comments?
No comments on this item, sir.
Any comments? All right, thank you. I'm glad to hear that you live nearby and that you maintain and upkeep your properties. We're going to send this without recommendation, giving the public an opportunity to contact us between today and tomorrow. Motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded by Councilmember Golumback.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Councilmember Noakowski.
Item number 13, special use permit 837 Richmond for non-owner occupied short-term rental.
Motion open the public hearing.
seconded by Council President Pridgen.
Good morning, it's me again. This home that we have is a larger home and more of a historic home, and it's kind of the same thing. They're right around the corner from my house. We have the lawn staff that services it, cleaning staff. The same guidelines go to this one, 4-night minimum, 3-week maximum. This one usually suits families that sleep up to 16, so 8 couples. And we try to maintain the historic beauty of the Kent home as the original owners as much as possible. And I think we've done that with what we've done for the block.
Okay, any comments?
There was one comment in opposition. Did you want me to read that out, sir?
Sure.
It's from Albert Credo of 820 Richmond. I am concerned with the lack of supervision of the property as well as the occupants that would reside there. There would be little to no control of renters' behavior. This area has seen its share of college students that have displayed disruptive behavior, but often remedied with a call to the college. There is also a concern about winter parking, especially since there is an apartment building at the corner of Claremont and Bird, and their residents would compete for parking in this area, end quote.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I actually have one comment. I read off because we have those both Richmonds, the 393 one's the larger one. The 837 one is the one that's geared towards 3 to 4 families staying with a nursery and a room for children. And we just put it online as COVID hit. So we haven't actually had a chance to even have a guest stay there. But we interview all of our guests because they have to message us and we have to approve them. So if they seem like a college student or somebody that might cause an issue, and we can see that even in their reviews, we most likely decline them. And we always want to bring in people that will respect our home because we don't need it damaged or to disrupt the neighbors.
Okay, thank you. On a different note, I don't know if you're aware of this. I think I read an article in the last couple of weeks that Airbnb was changing their policies. So you can't rent an Airbnb if you're under 25. Is that accurate? Are you aware of anything like that?
I haven't, but I've known they changed a bunch of their guidelines, especially because COVID. So I'm not 100% sure. They've had quite a few changes with refund policies and how the booking procedure goes, just to make sure everyone, is trying to reorganize, like for weddings and events that are getting pushed to 2021. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something as of like a rental car you can't rent under 25.
Okay, and that wouldn't impact the city. That would be on the owner. But I was just curious since you have a couple Airbnbs. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Council President Pridgen.
Mr. Chair, just a generic question about the Airbnbs. The license lasts for how long so that the public knows that they have how much time before the license they would have to come up for renewal?
We have Karen Gordon from Corp Counsel on this.
Sure, I believe the licenses last for 2 years. So they expected to renew every 2 years.
So, and the only reason I bring it up is because if there are issues after a license is given, people really don't have to wait 2 years, although the license would be renewed. They could always call inspections or the district council member so that we make sure that as the short-term rentals are opening, that the persons who are managing them know how important it is to take care of the neighbors also. But they do, I just wanted people to know they do have the option of calling the city of Buffalo, permits and inspections even, because they would be given a permit to open if there was a problem. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Also, Councilmember, if I may add, there is a section on under Section 264, I believe, that allows for revocation. So as you rightly said, if a person was to call and place several complaints against an individual Airbnb, there is an entire revocation process that takes place under 264-16 that if the situations rises to the extent where the license needs to be revoked, the city can do so as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyatt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Corporation Counsel, did we ever get any resolution to signage regarding the identification of who the owners are, so that if there ever is a problem, you can contact the owner instead of them just contacting the city and contacting inspections or something?
Not that I know of, like at this moment.
Is that
I have a answer for that. So if there is an issue and it's aware that the home is a Airbnb, if a neighbor contacts Airbnb, Airbnb will personally contact the owner about the issue because they take that very seriously. So we're considered a super host, which means that we are up to the standard, and we have, we take care of our people who come and visit us, and they can revoke that and penalize you. And I think they might even put you on probation, where you can't rent if there's certain issues or if you're disrupting the neighborhood, because they take that very seriously.
And I also wanted to add I know the Department of Permits and Inspections, and in this application process, when we were working on this, if the person's from out of town who owns it, they have to have a local contact in Erie County, because what happened is some of the parties that were going on, the police would show up to the party, they would have no way of contacting the person who owns it. They would have no idea. So if someone's going to have an Airbnb in the city of Buffalo, if they're from outside of Buffalo, they have to have a local contact that can be contacted at any time to address any issue.
Mr. Chair, and I appreciate that, but I just wanted to know if someone who wanted to contact the owner, even though the person, let's say if someone's from out of town, but if they wanted to contact the owner, there's no information available to do so, correct?
No, the city of Buffalo, the city requires the owner's information, all the owner's information to apply when they apply for the Airbnb. And an additional layer is a local contact if the owner does not reside in Erie County. So there's the owner's information and a local rep if the owner's from out of town.
I guess I'm going where when we talked initially about property managers and having some type of information, so that if there was a property that there was a problem, you can contact that property manager, but it's something that's affixed on the property itself, so that if there was a problem, a resident could contact that person. But what I'm hearing right now, we don't actually have anything like that in place, although the city has the information within their data system. It's not something that an ordinary resident would know.
So there's no requirement of any postings on the properties. You're right about that.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to get that clarification.
This is Assistant Corporation Counsel Karen Gordon. I would like to just make a correction regarding the recertification for the Airbnb. According to section 264-21 right now for fees, it appears that after the first initial fee of $150 for short-term rentals, and these would be the owner-occupied ones, I think there's subsequent annual fees that takes place after, and those subsequent annual fees are on a smaller scale. So I think initially it's $150, and then the subsequent annual fee is $75. And that changes for non-owner occupied. The initial fee, I believe, is $250, and the subsequent annual fee is $150. So that's just a correction in terms of the annual fee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to close, Council President.
Council President.
Just real quick on Councilmember Wyatt's comments, and just a suggestion, because I understand where he's going on this. And if we don't affix it to the property, maybe someone wants to put forward that there is a searchable database online on the city's website for not only Airbnbs, but also possibly for the management companies that we certify, or that we allow when there's multiple units. And that way a person could go online, see exactly who to contact, a phone number to be contacted. Just a thought, because I know where you're going. If you live next door to them, you want to be able to get somebody very quickly. And the second thing, Mr. Chair, is I know that the comments from the applicant were about Airbnb, but everybody doesn't use the Airbnb service. There are multiple services out there. So what's required by Airbnb may not be required by, VRBO or hotels.com, which also participates. So I just want to be clear that Airbnb is not the only platform out there. So all of these requirements are not as stringent on every website. Thank you, sir.
That's a very good point, because one short-term housing company or website may have different rules than others. So it could be listed on several different ones at the same time. So that's a very, very good point. Okay.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Wyatt,
Motion to send without recommendation.
seconded by Councilmember Gullumbeck. Council President Pridgen?
I don't know if that was the last item. I just wanted to answer speak to an item, not a item, but to our process whenever we're at the last item.
There's one more item on the table, Council President.
I'll wait until then.
Next item?
From the table, item number 1, special use permit 67 North for assembly in N2R zone.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing, seconded by Councilmember Noakowski.
Mr. Chair, this item actually already had its public hearing on February 25th. It was awaiting updated information for Council President as it's in the Ellicott District and only needs an approval or denial at this time.
Items open.
It has a public hearing on the 25th. Oh, I'm sorry. It had a public hearing on the 25th. You can send that also without recommendation, please.
Motion to send without recommendation.
Seconded by Council President Pridgen, who has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate my colleague bringing up some of the concerns that have been put forward. We have labored really tirelessly on ways to ensure that the public can be heard, probably more than most councils that are not in face-to-face meetings. And even today in sending most items without recommendation, that was on purpose. Another layer of being able to say to the public, if you didn't know about this, if a neighbor calls a neighbor, and that we have not made a decision on most items today, so that we have that layer. The same way it's really hard to do public meetings and all that is very difficult at this time. And so we have, as the chairman, have talked to Corporation Counsel. And I just want to assure the public that we are doing everything possible to hear from the public. My office has been open for a while. We do have some council staff who are working from home and from the office. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that the public's voices are being heard, including reading items into the record. I know earlier one of the items was going to be sent to the committee. I would just suggest that we send it to all council members, because tomorrow, all council members will have to make a decision whether they're in the committee or not. So it is tough. At one point, I know there was a grade of the council and a comment that the public couldn't be heard. But I think, Mr. Chair, you have really tried to make sure, and including council staff and this whole council, to make sure. And that's why I want to make sure the public knows that all of the items that have been discussed today, that it is, 10 o'clock in the morning, that all day staff is available to take any comments, that the district offices are available, and that those comments should be public. So that if we do receive comments, it shouldn't be where we just keep the comments to ourselves, because if it is a part of this process, those comments should be public. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to add, I know a lot of these items that were up today have been pending for several months at a time, several months. Some of them have put their applications in over 3 or 4 months ago. So the neighbors were notified at when they had their planning board meeting. We're having the hearings today, and we certainly, the word has got out. The one item, the coffee and pie shop in Councilmember Rivera's district, had 14 different members contact council staff about that. So just to reiterate, as the council president was saying, any further comments on these items, contact the council offices, and we will go from there. So thank you everyone for participating. And Council Member Wyatt.
I just want to say something briefly, and I commend Council President and our leadership team, and especially our central staff, who has done a phenomenal job in a situation that was brought upon us that we weren't prepared for, but they have done a yeoman's job in getting out information. I know when we had our oversight meeting, we had about 900, almost 1,000 people view that, as well as hundreds of comments that were filed with the council. So I think that we've done what we can in a difficult situation. We have not spared any, even with difficult situations, we have not tried to hide behind these virtual meetings. We have been very transparent. So again, I think that, you know, if someone wants to critique us, of course they can. However, I think the effort that we put in has been seismic, considering what we've been up against. And again, the central staff has been a huge part of that. And even today, as we went through this process, if there were comments, we took them. If there were items, we sent them without recommendation, so that if someone does want to comment, we can take that into consideration, as well as we can file it with the council. So again, we can accept whatever critiques, but I think we've gone above and beyond to make certain that there's transparency in this process. So again, thank you all for what we've done. I think we've been very open, and if someone can critique, they can, but I think we've done a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Councilmember, would you like me to just let everyone that's watching know how they can reach out between now and tomorrow's meeting in case we do have comments? So if you want to call, please call 851-5105. That's our central staff office. If you'd like to email your comments, you can email them to councilstaff@city-buffalo.com. And we'll also repost the form that we use to take the public comments on our Facebook page. If anyone would like to leave comments with us before Tuesday's council meeting at 2 p.m., we'll make sure that your comments are filed.
Okay, thank you.
No further discussion. Motion is to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilmember Golombek.